So hello, this is Dear TY Best of 5 qualifying match in the Open Server Qualifiers, so NA Server Qualifier Part 1. Winner of this advances through to the tomorrow's event, the Closed Qualifier, where they will play for spots in Katowice. Top right, our blue Protoss player is Dear, and bottom left, our Terran player in the red is TY. Just want to say, especially if this goes on YouTube and stuff, I've already explained this to the stream, guys, but I just want to say this is pretty late for me. It's 3 AM. I've been running on about 20 hours with no sleep, without going to sleep now. Obviously, it gets kind of tough. We already casted once a day, so if you do hear me saying a couple of words, if I miss a couple things, I'm not as sharp as usual, please just excuse me. It's obviously been a long day. These qualifiers just catching me being not a degen for once. Usually these qualifiers would be perfect for me, being a degenerate going to bed late, but I've been going to bed and waking up early, so again, if you catch me missing something here or missing something there, I do apologize. But I will do my very best because it's the last series of the day, most likely. And here we are with the TY SCV starting on up. So Eternal Empire is a map which is very much so macro friendly. It promotes 3 bases, it promotes 4th and 5th bases, and much longer kind of macro games. TY is a player that takes advantage of that and likes to play mech on this map, where it's very easy to protect multiple bases across the board. And so in a best of 5, especially in TvP, he might throw in the mech here, just so he's already used that one different style to keep the entire matchup fresh, and to keep the rest of his games a little bit different, keep Deer on edge. It's very hard to adjust as Deer if your opponent does something different every game, right? You know, if your opponent opens up differently every game, plays a different composition a little bit in the early game, mid game, especially if you play mech instead of bio, if you lose the game, you can't just say, oh, well, he did that, next time I'll change this, because the next game's already different, so it's very hard to adjust over the course of a series, which is what players like Serral are very good at doing, with, you know, adjusting against certain things. So if you find a weakness against Serral, he's very good at on the fly adjusting to not die to it again, which is why you have to find multiple different ways to beat Serral, essentially, which is what makes him such a difficult player to beat, for example. And as we're going to be seeing the Nexus dropping down in the natural from Deer, the Stargate about halfway done, and we do just see the SCV of TY coming up to the top right-hand side of the map. Again, this is best of 5 because it's a qualifying round, qualifies you to tomorrow's event. Tomorrow will be the same, best of 3s throughout, but the matches that qualify you through to Katowice will be best of 5. Command Center will be finishing in the natural then, as this Adept coming around the left-hand side, and he's going to see the starport, isn't he? So Dia's going to find this, so TY's attempt to be aggressive early, immediate cancel, gets some money back, but that's not great, because now the starport at home is delayed, and these Hellions are less likely to get something done. So, you know, the whole point of this starport is to get the medevac out, and then the Hellions join up here, 4 Hellions arrive as the medevac finishes. That timing now doesn't exist, and obviously any medevac out of this starport is going to be much later. By then, Dia should have much more defense available to him. A lot more defense available to him. As we're going to be seeing the couple of Hellions pressing forward, so there's going to be 4 in total, and that should just be all we see. Like I said, because you're not able to multi-prong it, there's no point making a couple extras to try run into the natural or so. As we do see the Cyclone on the way up, and again, those Hellions just working their way up to the top side of the map. Looking to press on forwards here, and doesn't even have the Reaper up, right? Didn't open with a Reaper at all, so he can't even Reaper grenade these Adepts out of the way and break through. He's actually just going to try and trade for the Adepts, and he will get 2 of them. That's kind of the end of the Hellions, so if the Oracle pushing them back, now they just kind of become map control fodder. Put them here, put them there, and just watch for units moving across. On the plus side, as this Oracle over here gets killed off by the Cyclone and Marines, the second Oracle's also used its energy defensively, so having used that energy defensively, you now don't have as much energy to come across the map and get aggressive as well. Phoenix popping out as we do see the Oracle. Heading down toward the bottom left-hand side, another Phoenix on the way up, Viking building from TY, and the Viking already out over here. I mean, Vikings, you can get away with building a couple early. Good defensively against the Stargate, and you can even turn it aggressive. Landing in a mineral line usually gets 3 or 4 workers at the very least, unless your opponent is very quick at pulling away and shutting that down. So Cyclone and Marines coming up to the upper right-hand side. Maybe seen the Robo Facility dropping down in the natural then, so just getting that ready to go. And a little bit of a follow-up here as he goes into a few Phoenix, which are great defensively early, but are they enough here against this many Marines and a couple of these Cyclones, especially because the Viking, well, it won't join the fight. It will go into the main, though, as everything gets brought to the front. I think you just have to commit to this. Adepts have to go in. Cyclones will be lifted by the Phoenix. There's not really a choice, right? The bunkers are going to go up sooner rather than later, so you have to commit in now as D, and it looks like it's going okay from the Cyclones will drop down, just get lifted again. The Viking in the main going big though, 5-6 kills, and Dia just doesn't realize it, so this Viking is getting so much damage done. His bunkers will not go up, but this Viking is the hero of it all. It doesn't matter what happens on the third base when TY kills 14 probes in the main, and Dia's probably like, man, I've just completely crushed this attack. Well, yeah, you would have done if you'd responded to this any time in the last half minute or so. This is way too late. A 14-kill Viking, what a hero. And TY comes out 19 workers ahead. Great attack by TY, simply because of the Viking. Otherwise, it was a pretty good defense from Dia. He was still pushing across the map and cleaning up units. This Cyclone gets stuck. The Adepts now are going to get another Cyclone as well, which is low HP. Phoenix coming over, and the Viking will just land to... I mean, he just knows it's not going to have much fun in the skies against the Phoenix. I mean, the Adepts coming over, there is an army supply advantage right now from Dia. If he can make something happen now, maybe he can make up for the lack of SCVs. He's killing a few, but still 14 down when the Protoss is expected to be ahead. Not looking great. A new Viking, the Cyclone as well. The Marines, one of them gets into the bunker. It's not a lot of damage output, but with the Cyclone there, now the Viking landing, the Phoenix don't have lift energy anymore. This is kind of going to be about it. The last couple of Adepts will shade out, I think. Will not stick around. TY will remain up 13 SCVs. And obviously third CC about to finish, so he can maintain that worker advantage as soon as he has the numbers to push out and keep the third base alive. And behind it, extra factory. We talked about the possibility of him going mech earlier in this game, and that is exactly what he will do. Play mechy on Eternal Empire. And the mech he likes to play, he does like to play quite Cyclone heavy. He's played a couple different styles, Cyclone, Hellion, Hellbat, and he's also played Cyclone, Hellion, Widowmine, and then some siege tank support, etc. as well. So we'll see what he chooses here. Already starting that Macfield Accelerator, looking to prioritize in these early stages. A few units of TY sitting between the bases and the orbital command of TY pushing out toward the third location as well. So that orbital command will land down, and Adept, Stalker passing through the watchtower, Phoenix going back to the upper right side also. So they pull all the way up to the top right to see a little bit of what's going on. And this Marine will take the watchtower there in the center, so setting that up, getting that going. And the rest of these units from Dia off on a bit of a journey, huh? Just coming up to the top, and again, trying to see a little bit of what they will do. Phoenix on the map still, moving around, coming down the bottom. Looks as though they will push across in toward the main base. Oh yeah, 3 Vikings here, and 3 Vikings a bit more than usual, and he will actually get a Phoenix kill. Wow, I mean, that's a good defense. Much better defense than I ever expected, actually. Well, Dia, I mean, what does he know? Does he know it's mech? Well, probably. I think he knows how TY plays. He sees with the Observer all the Cyclones. It's not the hardest thing to kind of pick up on, right? As we are going to be seeing Macfield about to be done. Armory's now on the way from TY, and again, from the moment, just Hellions and Cyclones. Again, don't be surprised if he starts to add in Widow Mines, because Drill and Claw Widow Mines have been quite a successful way to play these games, where you're kind of kiting back the Hellions and the Cyclones. So if the Protoss army wants to chase those units, you end up, running into a Widow Mine field, and then it doesn't really end very well for you at all. So then it becomes a bit of a nightmare for you, as we do have the Vikings around to the bottom, this 4th CC, sorry, setting up here. So a few Vikings down on the bottom side, and just going to be seeing the 4th base going to be up in a moment or two. Drilling Claws on the way out, Infernal Pre-Igniter. So like I said, going to start introducing those Widow Mines, and against this comp, which is very kind of, Zaldark on heavy, Widow Mines are going to be an amazing unit to have on your side. So setting up towards that, this army of Dia gathers together, and Hellions and Cyclones moving their way up to the top left. Pylon going to get picked away at here most likely in the next moment or two, so that'll go down, and yeah, clean up this Pylon. turning around here already, locking onto a few of these Zealots. The one thing you don't want is TY. That was one of the issues when you played Trap in WSG qualifiers was you don't want to get caught where you're getting flanked all the time. Now this is fine because you kite back into Widow Mines. You can see you're just picking off all the Zealots. This is fine. If you're out on the map and Dia starts to set up some flanks, that's why you're going to have to be way more careful. This army of TY trades well, but it's very vulnerable. So it only takes one bad fight and one bad position more than anything to create a bad fight to throw you into a little bit of distress. Army back through to the center once again. 2 more Liberators, 3 more Siege Tanks building, plus 1 vehicle weapons and plating coming up. Dia still around the bottom as we're going to see those Liberators already starting to fire, and, well, Widow Mine's blowing up some of those Zealots right away. So some Zealots will start to go on down, and again, Cyclones clean up a little bit, locking onto some of these Archons. Archons taking quite a lot of damage as the Viking shots firing in to go in after the Warp Prism. I mean, the Cyclone's still locked on and more of these Archons dropping down. Good defense with a couple of tanks showing up and the Liberators there. I think it's just a bit too much to really push into for Dia. I love this. The Hellions will just go counter-attack. Bases wide open, no defense on them yet. So that's something Dia now has to think about, while also trying to make sure this army doesn't get picked off as it tries to escape away. But this mineral line is just going to die. He's already peeled some Hellions to the other base as well, so especially with Blue Flame, these probes don't last long at all. So many probes going down. I mean, there's an Immortal over here at least, which will start to shut down these Hellions, but that's so many workers killed, and Dia realizes, I'm all in, I've lost too many workers, I'm gonna try and break you. Let's face it, it's not gonna happen, right? I mean, he gets quite far forwards, but then it's only a couple of Archons left, they get blown up, and Dia is a second or two away from typing GG, I think, as the Stalker goes down. He's going to warp in more Stalkers up at the top, so he's actually not ready to give in yet, but he must know it's not looking good for him. TY out to the central watchtower. I mean, what does Dia try and do from this position onwards? Not really a lot. You know, you can try and maybe run around with Stalkers, but when you see the 4th base dropping down, Mules, it's not going to be enough as TY takes game 1 of the best of 5. In number 2, starting in the top left-hand side, our red Protoss player is Dia. Up against the blue Terran in the bottom right, TY from Triumphant Song Gaming. See a lot of confusion about TY having changed teams, etc. TY left Splice because Splice disbanded. As an organization, they actually got swallowed up by their parent company or so. They are now a completely different brand. The brand Splice no longer exists. TY was picked up as by TSG before he even left Splice. It was said he was going to go to TSG way long ago, and you know, they took a long time to announce it, but eventually it officially came true, and TY did join Triumphant Song Game. And if you're also wondering what happened to Stats, he's just announced joining the Afrika Freaks, picking up Sue and Armani along the way, so they're a pretty strong team. Interested to see if they pick up a Chinese player to play in the China Team Championship, which is where TY will be playing for Triumphant Song Gaming this next season. He's already been playing in the preseason, advanced in first place of his group over Solar, and will be playing in the playoffs come January 17th. Probe attacking the SCV here as Nexus drops down from Dia in the natural expansion. Just want to bring it back to the start of today, guys. Dia was one of the players who was actually PM'd me, the only player PM'd me, and just said happy birthday, which for me was so random. I never really talked to Dia. I don't know where he saw it, I don't know where he got that message, but he just sent me a whisper, said happy birthday. What a nice guy. I like Dia. Dia not really a Korean player I talk to a lot, you know. I talk to a lot of the Korean players when I'm running tournaments, you know, me and Solar have a good little chat. Me and Bunny are pretty good friends. You know, me, Sue, Stat, we've had some stories over the poker table at home story cups. Dia's not really a player I've ever really interacted with, and yet he really is, he was just very nice at the start of the day. For that, I wish him the best of luck, but unfortunately he's up against TY, and you guys know I'm a bit Terran biased, right? A little bit Terran biased. Just a tiny little bit as this SCV comes down the bottom right. Reaper of TY will hop up and go into the main. And they go straight through there, and already a grenade to pop one probe around. Reaper pulling back down into the center. Adept able to push that back. Nexus Corona boosting at the moment. So Adept will be shading over, and again, Reaper just moving around a little bit. We'll hop up into the main base, and Stalker coming across is going to deal some damage to that Reaper. The Twilight Council about to finish here, Dia. Looking pretty alright to start. Reaper down the right-hand side, and the Stalker all the way back up to the main. So with the blink up early, Dia not going to be doing anything too crazy there. The starport on the way from TY about to complete, and the factory building up another Widow Mine. And again, overall, nothing really too ridiculous for the moment. There's the Robo as well. Very standard from Dia. We'll see if he wants to get overly aggressive with this. If you think back to the start of the day, if you're here for Pult versus Omega Banana, he actually played a pretty aggressive, like a lot of Stalkers into an attack with the Prism, and it's kind of scary, but it does take away a lot of your future tech. This is a fast third Nexus. So there's no way that will happen. And that's a really nice scout from TY, because seeing that third Nexus already just says, cool. You know, that investment basically means you can't do anything overly aggressive anytime soon. He's just going to boost this Widow Mine drop forwards, of course. Try and get some damage done, maybe get a little bit of a spot in the main base, just a little bit of an idea, a bit of an update as to what exactly is going on there. Alien and the Marines going in after the Adept, and the Adept takes quite a bit of damage. Stalker taking some shots as well, and actually dropped one Widow Mine at the front, so going to walk this in as he boosts into the main. This is so smart, because obviously you expect both the Widow Mines in there, so you're not as likely to pay attention on the low ground, but he does! And he turns for that Widow Mine. That's a nice catch, as the Widow Mine in the main will unburrow. Look at the lost mining time, though. Those probes having to pull away, and that's already a victory. Unburrows will reburrow again, waiting for the probes to try and run back. Boost the medevac out, unburrows one more time. Burrows, I like it, he puts himself in the little corner just so he can't be targeted, surrounded by all the probes. All of this denied mining time is huge, and now he gets the kill. He'll lift up, and the medevac will let that Widow Mine live another day. But look at this, coming across the map here, Dia's actually going to go and attack. High ground vision available because he'll have the Sentry to hallucinate, so he can blink up into the main if he wants to. No bunker on the low ground from TY. And does that mean he's in some trouble? Well, perhaps. First tank shot already dealing some damage. Stalker taking some hits. Nice force field there, picks off a couple of the Marines. As two Marines go down as the Raven out to the left-hand side. And again, just the rest of this army just pull back, so in the end, Dia doesn't really see an aggressive opportunity. Tank just a bit too much, I think, for that amount of Stalkers, because it's not like he built into a ton of Stalkers because of the third Nexus, so he's also on 60 probes. He doesn't need to do a bunch of damage here. Looks like that Widow Mine tried to come back in, but got shut down. Medevac now trapped in the corner for a moment as an auto turret will drop, and that's a couple kills for the Raven. Thank you very much. The Sentry takes some damage there. Stalker's able to deal some hits as well. And this Observer still just from Dia heading down the bottom side. Charge about halfway done. +1 attack coming up as well. And 6 more gateways still coming up. So Marine tank starts to press out into the center of the map. Dia's Observer overhead watches it as it leaves. So into the middle of the map we go with TY. +1 attack, the charge upgrade will complete shortly. But obviously TY, I mean, look at this setup. He picks off the Observer. Stim will be done soon. He has his own 3rd CC, so he's not looking too bad in that regard. Medevac hangers out to the top of the map, and just going to be seeing Dia making his way down back to the bottom right. More supply depots dropping down. Robo Bay Forge building in the back of the mineral line, and again Dia just pulling back to the top left. Medevac from TY going to be sitting down. +1 attack and combat shields going to be finishing also, and just going to be seeing Zealots and Stalkers of Dia regathering out in front of the 3rd base. It's just going to be seeing the army in the center from Dia continue to move around. +2 attack, +1 armor coming up. Colossus. This is going to be the choice from Dia as extended thermal lance is on the way. That armory from TY on the natural expansion. And again, just marines and tanks setting up across the front to begin with. There's a couple extra liberators coming through. The Ghost Academy dropping down in the back of the third base. And War Prism trying to make his way around here. Obviously, big difference from Game 1. We didn't really mention it because it is standard to play Bio, but it is Bio instead of Mech. And like I say, it's expected because Eternal Empire just works well for Mech. Didn't really expect TUI to play Mech much more than the rest of this series, really. Eternal Empire really just seems to be the map for him. Just the +2 attack and +1 armor still coming up, and fourth base from Dia. Very passive TvP here. Yeah, okay, early the probes dancing with the Widow Mines. A few Marines went down to Stalker fights, but we've really not seen too much going on, right? I mean, really just sitting back at 9 minutes in. Now TY, he's got a few tanks, and he's just going late game already. Like, he's building Liberators, he's adding in Ghosts, so he's just teching up heavily. Really just says, yeah, if I get that, I'm kind of comfortable with how I can play it out. I mean, it's a very typical TY thing to do. He loves to embrace the late game. Marine in the center will be picked off here, and Dia continue to push down to the bottom right-hand side. Another Liberator setting up at the moment. Extra High Templar warping in, and again, Liberator setting around. More Zealots from Dia across the left-hand side, and 4 more Archons morphing in. So maybe Dia going to try and break this with 2-1 upgrades finished. He isn't really doing much as this Liberator denies some mining. He isn't doing much to keep taking up, but look at the first EMP. A lot of the Zealots take a lot of damage. Well, it's a massacre. What a horrible position to run into. I mean, the Zealots just running through that choke is just awful, awful, awful. So that really isn't pretty, as we do see the couple of shots dropping down. +3, +2 upgrades as Dia probably realizes, yep, not going to do much here. He'll still try and attack in, but probably just to pressure the third base location. Maybe try and get the fourth. Again, I really feel like pushing through these supply depots is a mistake. Vikings here now, and the Colossus will go down. I think TY will just collapse in on this, knowing that he's got a good position to take it down. I mean, look at Dia's army just disappearing. Just can't push into that position. I felt like Dia learned his lesson the first time he did it, and then he just went and did it again. It's almost like he's like pushing this base, like, oh, dealing some damage, picking away at this CC, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh my god, I can see, I see what I can do all of a sudden. Oh man. He's just like, and he gets a bit overeager, he gets a bit excited, he's rubbing his hands together like, okay, let's go. As you see the Bio pull back around into the center again. Some army here from Dia in the middle of the map, a 5th base top right. So Dia is trying to re-expand up, but at this point, TY's army is amazing. Vikings up, Ghosts up, Liberators up. Now, a couple of Disruptors being brought into play from Dia. I don't mind that. I mean, rebuilding Colossus when Vikings up already doesn't really make sense. It's still going to be tough to make that work, though, as now TY sends the army up the right, but the Zealots on the bottom left may make him think twice about that. Planetary is very nearly done. Might want to bring the SCVs in to repair that a little bit. So the SCVs will pull in. Planetary Fortress will be repaired up. The Zealots going to be picked away at here as well. Still see this army of TY heading up to the top right-hand corner. Zealots trying to push their way in, and the tanks very quick to turn those Zealots back away. Coming all the way through, and well, here come the Disruptors. That's going to be the real question, right? Can these Disruptors do enough? First shot doesn't connect. Second one gets split against. Next split pretty good as well in TY. Well, now the Disruptors all on cooldown. He's forced them all onto cooldown, and as he presses forwards, 2-1 upgrades doing their job against... and it's just +2 attack against +1 armor is the issue. Those Zealots go down very quickly because of it. Just means to break through to the rest of the army much more easily. EMP lands on the Stalkers as Disruptor shot coming in. That's a better Disruptor shot, but the next one will be killed before it connects. Now +2 armor is there. I feel a bit more hopeful for maybe a way for Dia to hold on a little bit, but as units stream in, I mean, the Liberators, how do you even kill those when there's only 4 Stalkers, and those are dropping to Bio units as well? A couple extra probes going down, and TY has broken this third base, and Dia is going to be picked apart. Beautiful stuff from TY. As he will go up 2-0 in this best of 5, showing us. I mean, I'm not even sure if TY played a slow game, and Dia just played right into it. That position TY had was unbreakable. And like I say, the first attack from Dia was a mistake. Maybe you just misread the scenario, sure. The attack the second time, it just can't understand in what world you think it's suddenly going to go better for you after you just lost everything you all yourselves the first time so easily. Didn't really make any sense. GG's TY takes game 2 and is one map away from qualifying to day 2. Pretty quickly into it as well. On the bottom right hand side, looking for a map. Our red Protoss player is Dia. And in the top left hand side, our blue Terran player is TY. Alright, so third racks, first rack's dropping down and waiting to see what the plan will be here from TY going into a game number 3. I mean, TY has now brought 2 very different styles, mech and bio, to the table, and both of them unresponded to by Dia realistically. As you do see, the probe just going to press on forwards and going to drop down the Nexus in the natural expansion. Probe pulls back to the mineral line and for a moment drops down another assimilator Reaper. Continue to come on up here, about halfway done. Orbital command about halfway along, and Reaper is just rallied into the main, kind of interestingly, is going to then go to the natural. No SCV scout from TY, so just going to not worry about any proxy gates or anything like that. It is Triton, probably the next in line macro map after Eternal Empire right now, so if there is a map you don't want to SCV scout on, it's not a bad one to choose. What should be SCV scout on Ephemeron? Ephemeron's actually kind of also a larger macro-ish map, so anyways. We're going to be seeing the Reaper heading down to the bottom right-hand side. Looking to jump up in towards the main base. There's the Adept already firing away. It's the first Reaper already taking some damage there. Twilight Council building up from Dia in the main. So we're back to that Blink opener. Obviously after the Stargate opening in the first game. You went Blink in the second game. And we'll go for it again right now. And there's an early sentry, some hallucination potential to go across the map into scout. It's kind of nice because obviously your robo doesn't come up for a little while here, so you don't have that observer across the map for a while. So just nice if you can pick up a bit of info, but it is a lot of gas early as well. So you've got to consider that investment when you go into that early sentry. 2 probes continue to build on up, and the Reaper of TY back around into the middle once more. Stalker coming across, trying to again say hello and see what's going on. We'll not be able to kill off that Adept as it shades back away to the right-hand side, and again the Stalker from Dia heading down through the center. This Reaper gets pushed away all the way down, and the Reaper will head into the natural and then maybe up into the main. There it goes, up into the main base. This Reaper goes on an adventure and will probably go after the couple of probes here. First probe going to get bopped around, and there's our stim pack from TY. Robo about halfway along now, and go. Reaper gets picked off, so Reaper gets taken down. TY with Marines and the Cyclone into the middle of the map, and again with stim pack coming up from TY, it's just going to be a pretty early push from him eventually, because that second racks came down so soon. So delays the starboard, faster second racks. That's how TY is going to change you up for the third game, and again nice because he keeps it different game after game so far. 2 more Stalkers warping in on the natural. The third Nexus will finish in a moment or 2 as well. And the Cyclone of TY coming all the way up to the top side. Again, there's that Forge dropping in to the main base. Spring finishes up, but a few Stalkers on the map. Nothing too aggressive. Sentry doesn't come over for hallucination and attempt to go high ground here. just going to be moving over and cleaning out the watchtower, taking some map control back. Kind of interested the Stalkers don't go on the map at least, though, and just sort of sit here. Maybe he's really afraid of an attack across the map with a drop or so. Charge +1 from Deer then, so getting that started as he just continues in towards what will be, well, for the moment, still waiting to see, right? Gateway heavy start, perhaps? I mean, starts charge right away, but yeah, I mean, I guess too late to drop a Robobay and start moving into Colossus, so just going to be some extra gates, going to be Zealot Stalker for a little while at the start here. I do worry about this right now, though, you know. Stim pack done. This first push is pretty scary when you're playing just gateway units. And this is why I would have liked the Stalkers to have already been across the map, because they should have been able to be picking up so much damage throughout this game already. As now, TY. But you can see Dia's concerned. He's already dropping a shield battery. Up on the high ground, Widowmine shows up and gets a kill, as we do see the probes having a pull. That third Nexus is just in so much trouble. There's nothing to defend this, and TY doesn't get greedy, just goes for the probes. Doesn't go for the base just in case he doesn't get it, right? And then you deal damage, you don't actually gain anything. He's going to go forwards there, picks up a Stalker. Can turn those units away. The problem is you don't just want to turn onto the base now, because there's no way you kill it. So just trying to pick up as many units as possible. I mean, killing the probes already is great. The Stalkers will blink forwards, clean up the rest of this, and that will be that. But 27 probes killed. Wow, that's actually a hell of a lot. Looks like the Widowmine was in the main base that just went off as well. So, yeah, Widowmine dropping the main base did some damage too. Apologies for missing that. That's where some of those extra workers went down. And suddenly, once again, TY is in a very good position already. Stalkers of Deer. Out into the center, Marine going to go down. Because of shells just past that halfway marker, extra tech lab and a reactor in the main. On the bottom side, we've seen a medevac pushed away once again as well, and now a medevac back into the main base. More Widowmine drops, and Deer, well, he's pulling away, so he should only take a probe here and a probe there. Next Widowmine. It's just going to burrow now, so taking its time to burrow, it just really delays the ability to start mining again, and it will just go off one more probe. Again, just the fact 2 Widowmines survived already just means they're ready to come back in. More damage to be done. It's just all mining time being lost from Deer, and realistically powers up this incoming push from TY whenever he goes across the map with 1-1 on combat shields. So about a minute or so from now. That said, look at Deer just getting aggressive. Isn't really rebuilding any probes at the moment. Well, he's actually queuing them up, but he can't because he's supply blocked. Is anything going Deer's way? Actually, pretty serious question. He's kind of just, I mean, he's starting +1 armor. He is building probes, but he really wants to do something right now, it seems. In fairness, he does have a +1 attack upgrade lead. He does have an army supply advantage, so if he can do something now, that'd be great. Get himself back in this with a few workers. Widowmines will burrow up, just looking to try and help pick away the Zealot front line. The Viking there will get some shots on the prison, but not enough right away. Now the Zealots kind of sacrificing themselves into the mines to start. SCV's pulling into this, and TY's kind of decided, do I want to fight this or do I want to back away? Over the command will drop down, so the third base of TY dies, and the push from Deer is very powerful, and may just go up this ramp and get more damage done. Fuel goes down, the bio will stim again. SCV's already pulling to fight this. He's so close to 1-1 upgrades, which will help a lot. But without those 1-1 upgrades, this may be too difficult to hold. With all the SCVs coming in, it might just about be enough. But now you're down at third base, so you're basically all in as TY. You have to survive this fight and maybe go counterattack all in. Stalkers wobbling up at the top. Primary gets picked off, bio. Pressing forwards, forceful drops down. TY will lose a Viking up in the sky. Another force field here as the bio pressing in. Zealot's taking a lot of damage. The Stalker's taking some shots. Sentry's being picked away at, and well, looks like that'll be about it as TY just cleans up the entire army. I mean, the difference that 1-1 makes is huge. Obviously using the SCVs to tank. He's down to 29 workers. What's the play? Do you just go across the map with the army? Or do you bring the SCVs to kind of tank? The ghosts are about to finish. He sends one medevac back to pick up the ghosts and to bring them across the map more quickly. And you've basically got this one push. I think he'll leave the SCVs because, realistically, after winning that fight, you might get the third base but not end the game, in which case, you'll be 2 base against 2 base, which is playable. So I like the idea of not pulling the SCVs and making this all in. There are a few force fields available. First Colossus out, being joined by a second Colossus. First EMP hits all the sentries, no force fields anymore, and the Colossus loses its shields. But that does mean there's not going to be EMPs on the Zealots, so they are going to be able to tank here. TY will get to Titan initially, but man, those sentries are going to be exposed. The shield battery heals up the Colossus a couple times over, and TY has to back away. A couple more reinforcements coming over. The EMP on the sentries is just huge again, taking away those force fields. I think if the force fields is a very easy win for Dia. It's just going to be seen as Zars charging in again. He tries to get rid of one of the Colossus, and he will get rid of one of them, but I'm not sure if there's enough bio left over here. The other Colossus still dealing good damage. Now the sentry's dropping though. There's not a lot of units left from Dia, but the army supplies are getting closer and closer together. And the Warp Prism up the left-hand side, if we can get some kind of damage done while continuing to hold on, the game will just end, and it doesn't even take that. Just the Colossus coming up, another reinforcement, and Dia will get a point on the board against TY, and starts to make a series out of this. Bottom right-hand side, our red Protoss player, he just about had enough to hold on there, right? That's all you need. You know, do the damage across the map, and it just becomes a question of hold, counter-attack, and you've got it under control. Dia able to take a point, not himself from the scoreboard. Top left, our blue Terran player is TY from Triumphant Song Gaming. Refinery will be dropping down in that main base. Probe of Dia going to come out down onto the map as well. To get this set up and get this underway. Just an early scout from the Protoss player here, which is pretty regular. Seeing the, it's making sure there's no barracks on the map, or making sure there's a barracks at home, I guess, more so, is an important part of this. Gotta make sure you're nice and safe in the early game as the Protoss player. Nexus dropping down in the natural expansion. We will see the probe back up in the main base. Probe just going to patrol around here. Cybercore setting up Nexus, about halfway done. We do see the command center from TY setting up as well. We'll go high grounds. TY playing pretty safe then. It may just be because the probe's been annoying. Maybe a bit of a mind game as well, right? Because if this probe rescouts and sees no CC, he might be like, huh? Oh no. But if he goes up the ramp, you would see it anyways. The probe doesn't hide, so the probe will be able to, will not rescout anyways. So any mind game TY perhaps has in mind is not actually going to work out at all. So we've got the Reaper here, will continue to troll around a little bit. And again, the factory just about to finish up from TY. It's going to lift off, go towards the reactor. Starport will drop down as well. Factory will drop down there. So factory drops a couple of Hellions to start being produced, and the barracks lifting off, going to go and build up a tech lab. Command center finishing in the main, and that obviously will just morph into an orbital before you move to the low ground. Why go to the low ground any earlier than you have to, as he will actually shut down this probe from getting back across the map. No information is nice. Nice to keep that probe to basically no info here. Reaper taking some shots, couple stalkers will be able to take that Reaper down. It's a little unfortunate because I don't feel the Reaper has done much in terms of scouting. Absolutely zero vision of Dia's bases, so no luck there, as you will see Cloak Banshee starting up from TY as well. So that's going to be his next little choice as the two stalkers continue their way to the top left-hand side of the map. So Probes coming in, a little bit of a surround there, and the Hellion will go kiting away. A couple of probes going down, and that Hellion getting picked off there. There's more Hellions into the main base, so suddenly Dia's going to be losing some workers, and that's, we'll check on the worker kill count exactly in a moment, but it's pretty good for TY. I think that's very visible already as Phoenix pops out, will lift one of the Hellions just to try and minimize the last couple of shots. That was painful though, 11 workers killed, so nice little run by TY there. Now with the Cloak Banshee follow-up, he might actually just kill Dia. Dia doesn't have a shield battery in his bases. He doesn't know about the Cloak Banshee. He's not going to fly into it. He's dead. Because the problem is if you build an Oracle, you'll have one Revelation, and then the next Cloak Banshee shows up and you'll be in trouble. Will he scout it is the question. He's going to go in. Okay, he sees it now. Cancel the Phoenix, build an Oracle ASAP. And I mean ASAP. Because this Banshee shows up and you're already starting to lose probes here. Dia is in a lot of trouble. 2 probes down. Banshee moves over and toward the main base now as well. Gonna go after a few more probes already. Yeah, I mean, Oracle's starting, but how long until that Oracle finishes? And again, then you need Oracle number 2. There is a shield battery there that can cover some of this mineral line. But the workers keep getting killed. This is only 7 kills at the moment, which isn't crazy. This Banshee cloaks preemptively. Maybe the way you do this is you wait for this Banshee's energy to fade, and then you revelate Banshee number 2. I think that might be the best way to do this, actually. I feel like if you revelate this Banshee, it's just a waste, because it is going to run out of energy, so that's how you're going to defend this a bit more easily. First Banshee goes down, but the damage done is already pretty serious, right? 21 kills throughout the game now, and TY goes into a big worker lead, and it doesn't cost him a ton of armor units like we saw before. Oracle still on the way up, about halfway done there, and going to be continuing on out. Top side, there's a couple of Phoenix setting up as well. Fly in. Banshee nearly goes down, but the Marines enough to scare the Phoenix off. One SCV, I thought it might have gone for the repair, but it doesn't. There's the extra barracks dropping down. 3rd CC is already well on the way up, so in terms of TY, he's going to be able to keep the eco lead. If you look at the income graph here, you can't because we're not on game hard mod. The players aren't hosting with it. Sorry for that. You can see 47 SCVs to 46 though. With the Mule as well, you're going to be ahead on income as TY. You want to be about 10-ish workers ahead as a Protoss, and it isn't uncommon to see a Protoss go into 60 workers when the Terran is on 45 before they get their 3rd base. So it's a very good eco position compared to usual for TY. You Marines, Vikings, some more damage to the couple of Phoenix here. There's a good amount of Phoenix. That also makes it scary because a lot of your supply is in the sky. The larger a bio push, the less effective those air units become. So, as TY gets to stim, and a couple medevacs popping out, realistically pushing across the map, he might be able to do something. He avoids the stasis wards, etc. On the ground, there's 4 Stalkers and 2 Sentries. There is not a lot. Against 16 Marines with Stimpak, really not a lot. Thanks, we'll see jump for the moment. And TY not too eager to go across the map too quickly. They'll send the Banshee out, which is actually maybe a good way to pick up info on what there is before he commits. However, if you wait too long, 5 gateways on the way up, charging +1 armor. Once they come into play, life will be a little bit easier from Dia, holding on against the aggression. I tell you what, actually, the Observer has just gone out, so this Banshee will get a few kills. I feel like you look at this army now and you're like, okay, that's not very much, but is there other army elsewhere? The question you have to sort of ask yourself, tries to go for the Sentry, will not quite get it. If you kill that and get rid of the Guardian Shield, that'd be huge. TY at the very least goes with +1 combat shields, right? You at least push across the map and see if something can be done. I tell you what is crazy is the fact that these Phoenix just aren't doing anything, right? The line blows up one of them. Just look at this, full energy across the board on the Phoenix on 3 of them. Just not finding any damage at all. Finally, a couple of SCVs will go down, but look at TY. He pulls the boys on the 3rd base and from the natural, so he's going to pull some SCVs. He's going to go for it. Now, there's some stasis wards around the map. The first one goes off, catches a Cyclone and a Marine. Man, there's so many stasis wards catching quite a lot of the army as they all join up, but that's basically it. Those Zealots do have charge now, but they don't have +1 armor. No +1 attack then at the same time, though, from the Terran players. He sims in towards the 3rd base, and Well, remember, the rest of the SCVs and Marines will be coming across here soon. The probes pulled into this to help out. I mean, the Phoenix and Oracles won't last very long. Actually, the Zealots go up towards that tank conditioning. I feel like that doesn't serve you too well. That charge probably wants to go towards the main bio army. TY has way too much. He's going to overwhelm Dia here. And honestly, for the most part, a pretty comfortable series from TY. That third game, a little messy, just took a bit too much damage to a counterattack that he wasn't expecting. But after that, all pretty good. So you do see the bio going in after this Nexus. That will drop down. And that is pretty much going to be it. There's a few extra Archons morph in from Dia. Zealots, an Immortal, a Stalker gathering together. TY is going to press up this ramp, and we will see a couple of Zealots being picked away at. The Archons of Dia trying to help, but it's just not going to be enough. Too much from TY as he pushes through to qualify to day 2 of the IEM Katowice NA server qualifier. TY will be the last player to qualify to that day 2, joining the likes of Maru, Zest, Trap, Solar, and more. We'll have more of that obviously in the next day.